Hey everyone, Duo here, Dungeon Master for the Campaign 2 of A Delver's Guide to Beast World. Probably wondering why you're seeing this instead of our normal video upload, and well, we lost it. More specifically, it never got recorded, even though we played through the entire session. At some point, the record button turned off and nothing at all was captured. I know this is extremely frustrating. It is for me. I'm always paranoid something like this will happen. But for now, we're going to have a stand-in. The rest of this video, however long it may be, will be the replacement for this lost episode 5. I will be doing my best to narrate a short summary of the events that transpired so that when we do eventually release episode 6, you don't feel like we left you in the dark. I know this isn't ideal, and I don't want to have to repeat this again, but I hope this doesn't deter anyone from wanting to continue to watch our adventures together in the Beast World. My players helped me get all the events of last night in order and provided as clear a picture as possible for this retelling, so I hope it is at least up to the standard that you all find acceptable. And again, I'm sorry that this happened. Trust me when I say no one is more upset about this than me. I want to provide an enjoyable viewing experience for this wonderful campaign setting. Long live Love Delvers. Here's the summarized events of episode 5. With the fight still going on between our group of Delvers and the Shadow Lord of the Dole Dungeon, Deathrock performs his lair action. He manages to frighten Iset into a paralyzed state. With the party closing in around the demon, Deathrock manages to pierce through the protective ward that Eski casts upon herself, while they still remain unable to move. Blow after blow is dealt to the fiend, as he desperately summons another shadow to try and draw their attention to no avail. Deathrock attempts to blind the party in a wave of shadow, but is unable to find purchase on any member of the party, and is finally put down in a glorious upswing from Ignatius, cleaving the fiend in two. With Deathrock's demise, a bag appears in the center of the platform. Inside, the Delvers find a gem of brightness, one drift globe, one cloak of billowing, one potion of radiant resistance, one unbreakable arrow, a single emerald worth 1,000 gold pieces, one blue sapphire worth 1,000 gold pieces, and one blue spinel worth 500 gold pieces. While this is happening, Eski is still struggling to move as the scroll of protection from fiends continues on for several more minutes. She attempts to downplay these events, and only Vanya notices this. Eventually, the scroll's effects fade, and Eski is able to move once more. Satisfied that they have eliminated the potential threat beneath Dole, our Delvers make their way back to the surface and sneak back to the Rusty Nail Tavern to retire for the night. Everyone takes time to bathe themselves before turning in for the night. Eski and Vanya talk about Vanya's goals of finding a fiend they can interrogate for a ritual she's been after. While they talk, Vanya notices how Eski's shadow has been acting strange. Well, stranger than normal, that is. Parts of it seem broken, detached, deformed. Eski downplays this until Vanya eventually spots that her shadow is now missing. Scouring through the room and settling underneath the bed, Vanya finds something strange. An amorphous mass of darkness that forms with two red eyes. It studies Vanya, timidly at first, staying out of reach of the candlelight on the nearby bedstand. Eski places a spear of shadow to dim the light and allow more darkness to fill the room around the bed. Feeling more safe in their presence, the shadow slinks out from underneath the bed, its form long and gangly and roughly humanoid. Long tendrils of shadow form floating hair along its skull-like head. No visible lower jaw gives it an expressionless look on its face as it stands upright in a pool of darkness. The figure introduces themselves to Eski and Vanya as Thaukiel. The being claims to have been with Eski her whole life since her birth, and is the sole reason she is still alive to this day. Vanya notices that Thaukiel is indeed a fiend from beyond the veil. Thaukiel mentions that he overheard their conversation about needing a fiend for a very specific ritual, and says he could provide such knowledge. Vanya inquires about Thaukiel's motives for keeping Eski alive, and he simply says he likes it here in the Beast World and wants to stay. That this world is chaotic and violent, especially among them. Eski tells them that they could perform the ritual in the Rocksteady wagon, as it will be empty tonight and out of sight. The two, with Thaukiel in tow, head outside as discreetly as possible and make their way to the Rocksteady. Once inside, Thaukiel begins to grab any loose chalk and gives it to Vanya, instructing her on how to make a Devil's Triangle, a powerful trap that paralyzes any fiend that is caught within. Thaukiel takes Vanya's hand and slices her palm open, spilling forth a small amount of blood onto the chalk drawing. The blood takes forth and slowly covers the entire circle. With the trap set and the bait placed, it is now time to summon the fiend. Thaukiel approaches Vanya from behind and asks her to let him in, as it will take too long for him to teach her the proper words for the summoning. She hesitates, but only for a moment, feeling the cold specter pressing up against her before it fully possesses her. While in control of Vanya's body, Thaukiel begins a chant in Abyssal, conjuring forth a small flame in a circle that slowly grows to a few feet before dispersing. Left behind by the flame is a small albino imp. Thaukiel leaves Vanya's body, but not before informing her that she needs to slay the imp and consume its heart. Vanya's body is as cold as ice as Thaukiel returns to Eski. With a decisive strike, Vanya pushes her rapier through the imp's chest, killing it in an instant. Drawing forth one of her daggers, she begins to crudely cut the imp open and take its steel beating heart in her hand. Reluctant at first, at the sight of squirming flesh, she consumes it in its entirety. Thaukiel tells her to rest, and come morning she should feel different, the powers of an imp beginning to course through her body. Thaukiel suggests that she may be able to perform the ritual again in the future for something much more menacing than a simple imp. Eski and Vanya return to the tavern unnoticed and properly settle in for the night. At this point in time, the whole party has reached level 3. Vanya has gained access to the Fel Infiltrator subclass. Aspen has gained access to the Thoughts Tremor subclass. Ignatius has gained access to the Oath of Revolution subclass. Iset has gained access to the Carrion Master subclass. And Vegas has gained access to the Main Event subclass. The following morning, the entire crew gather downstairs for breakfast, save for Iset, who the rest of the crew notice is missing at the moment. Charlotte mentions that they should go see Captain Felds of the Dolian Watch to report their success in slaying the fiend that was responsible for the murders, and to also report that the dungeon has been cleared out. Returning once more to the barracks near the estate, the crew meets with the same guard that had stopped Charlotte's entry earlier and informs the Delvers that Captain Felds is on the estate grounds right now and is expecting them. Once inside the estate walls, the rest of the crew notices how pristine the place appears, and that Charlotte's worriedness about the Baroness's need for tidiness was not over-exaggerated. Finding Captain Felds at the top of the stairs to the estate, the crew approach and Charlotte begins to speak. Unaware for a moment that Captain Felds is currently speaking to her husband, Samson Rhines, who's posted at the estate's entrance. Ecstatic to see her husband, she rushes over and hugs him, who timidly returns the hug while trying to maintain his posture. Charlotte informs Captain Felds that the fiend responsible for the murders has been dispatched, and that to confirm it, they found a body in the sewers matching previous victims on the surface. Attempts to describe the latest victim fail to draw any clues to the captain, and he says he'll send someone to retrieve the body. Charlotte tells him that they should keep a guard posted at the entrance of the sewers just to be safe, as they found scorch marks on the barricade that reeked of sulfur, and think it's possible that there could be more around. Captain Felds scoffs in annoyance that others are telling him how to do his job, and he dismisses them before heading into the estate. Charlotte tells Samson she'll see him tonight, at home, once he's off his shift, and proceeds to take the rest of the Delving crew on a tour of Dole. While procuring through the various districts and their shops, Charlotte notices an old haunt of Samson's that has been taken over by new management. The tavern has changed its look and appears to be run by a pair of brethren brothers. She mentions how so much has changed in the little time she has spent away from Dole. The Delvers decide to take a calm approach to the rest of the night and eventually retire to the Rusty Nail Tavern once more, though Charlotte heads to her home to meet up with her husband once he is off his shift. She is unknowingly followed by Vanya, who waits out on her roof, waiting for an opportunity to tell her about the ritual she had done the night prior. While Vanya sits on the roof, she notices movement as curfew passes into the night. 4 individuals cloaked in brown leather dusters with hoods, wearing similar masks made of iron like the victim they found in the sewers below Dole. The masked men disappear down an alleyway, prompting Vanya to follow them across the rooftops. She quietly observes from above as the 4 individuals take up an ambush position in the alleyway below her. Each one is wearing a mask in what appears to be their species' likeness. A canine, a vulpin, an ovine, and a lateen. A door opening in the alley draws her attention as 2 brethren exit out the backside of a tavern. She notices that these 2 brethren are the brothers that Charlotte had seen earlier that day. Another individual follows shortly behind them, exiting out of the tavern. Before Vanya can get a good look at them, they place an iron mask on their face, concealing their identity. As they step out into the alley with the other brethren, shutting the tavern door behind them, the other masked men begin to close in, brandishing various clubs and pieces of wood. Within a matter of moments, the masked men begin to beat and hit the 2 brothers, knocking them to the ground and striking them repeatedly while the 5th masked individual watches on. Vanya, fed up with what she's bearing witness to, calls out for them to stop and starts shouting from guards. The 5 individuals stop and all turn to look up at her with their cold, expressionless faces. The 5th masked individual bears a mask with a feline quality to it. It takes only a moment before the 5 ruffians split, leaving the brethren on the ground. Vanya hops down to check on them and tells them not to mention her to the guards as she dashes off into the alley, hoping to avoid running into these masked men. 2 guards arrive shortly afterwards, seeing the brethren hurt and beaten, and begin to apply first aid to them. Still in shock from the events Vanya had witnessed, she discreetly makes her way back to Charlotte's house, who lets her in immediately. Vanya tells her what she saw outside the brothers' tavern, and Charlotte thanks her for intervening in the event and offers to let her stay for the night. But Vanya is still shaken, and decides to return to the Rusty Nail to rejoin the rest of the crew. As she nears the tavern, a voice of an unknown figure calls out to her, questioning her for breaking curfew. Vanya, in a desperate attempt to escape, activates her fiendish visage and takes on a more devilish look as her eyes black over and begin to bleed. Her nails grow into long black claws, and her tail forks in 2. Without even looking at her pursuer, she dashes into a nearby alleyway and manages to escape onto the rooftops, where she remains for the rest of the night. Meanwhile, back at Charlotte's home, Samson arrives after his very long shift at the Baroness's estate. Still clad in his armor, Charlotte mentions that she was worried that Captain Felds would punish him for having sent that letter out to a dungeon scout. But apparently he had gotten off with a harsh scolding instead. She tells him he would be a hero for what he did. Who knows how many more lives would have been claimed by the fiend in the sewers had they not come to stop it. Samson asks her what brought her back to Dole so soon, and she explains to him how she unwittingly met up with another delving crew by the time she got to the Bristle Inn. This being the 3rd crew she has partaken in now. She wants it to be her last delving crew, and she's hoping to find the answers she seeks so that she can once again return to Arloris. Samson mentions how they had left there and settled down in Dole to get away from that, but Charlotte is determined to return. She tells Samson how she hates it here in Dole, and how she hates the Baroness, and how she treats her people, and that venturing from Arloris opened her eyes to the world and the people around her. Samson tells her it will all turn out for the better, and embraces her in a hug. And that is the summarized version of the events that occurred for episode 5. Once again, I'm entirely sorry that this is how you're all having to get all this information, but I didn't want to just go and post episode 6 and there just being a gap and people being like, where's the last episode? So hopefully from this point on, I will remember to hit the record button and ensure that it is recording properly. I'll probably have some kind of system in place to have me check it constantly. But for now, this will hopefully do in place. Again, I hope I do not have to do this, and that having to watch this doesn't deter people from wanting to keep watching. I have so much more planned for this. So much more. And I hope everyone will stick around to keep watching in the future. And thank you again for all the support you guys have shown. It's been really great having these episodes get as many views as they are. It's not a lot, but it's more than I'm used to, and I'm very grateful for that. So, yes, thank you all, and once again, I will see you in the Beast World.